Our host and political commentator Anthony Mardenborough, Jr. will interview Michael A. Smith, candidate for the Legislature of the Virgin Islands for the St. Thomas Our host and political commentator Anthony Mardenborough, Jr. will interview Michael A. Smith, candidate for the Legislature of the Virgin Islands for the St. Thomas and St. John District on Saturday, June 27, 2026 at 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Listen in as he shares his plans, vision, and platform for the people of the Virgin Islands. Watch this episode right here on Facebook at Active Advocates and available on YouTube on Sunday. See you then.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of VI and We. I am your host and political commentator, Anthony Mardenborough Jr. And as you all know, technical difficulties can get the best of us. However, we are here and we're going to still continue as normal. And I think one of the things that brings us together is the challenges that we go through that produces something that everyone can still enjoy um, and appreciate because these conversations are important. And so I am pleased to come back again. We have a new episode today. And today we are interviewing Mr. Michael Smith. He's running for Senate in the St. Thomas and John district. He's number 8 on the ballot, and we'll get to know him shortly as we get to interview him, ask him questions about his plans, his vision, his goals for the district and the territory as a whole. But you all know we have to always do our quick powwow because I don't have much updates to share. But as many know, we have, I believe it's 5 days before registration to vote as a Democrat in the primary election is up. So everyone have by July 2nd to register as a Democrat if you want to participate in the primary, which is scheduled for August 1st. We have 3 gubernatorial teams that are running. We have Plaskett Potter, which is number 2, Roach Francis, which is number 1, and Fred Gregory and Moorhead, which is number 3. So make sure you choose whichever gubernatorial team you believe is best to represent the Democratic primary, represent the Democrats in the general election. And then we have a list of candidates, I believe, for Senate and St. Thomas and John, I believe is 12 and St. Croix is 10. We have 4 candidates for Board of Education at St. Croix. We don't have any for a Board of Election on the ballot for the primary because we only have 1. St. Thomas, I believe, has 3. So just keep that in mind as to who you're looking voting for. The election system has the official candidates and their numbers on the ballots. So make sure you educate yourself and familiarize yourself with who's running. We have the congressional candidates. We have four. We have Terry Helenese, that's number three on the ballot. Janelle Saru, that's number four. Delia Smith, that's number two. And Emmett Hansen, that's number one. So make sure you're looking and seeing who is running to represent us in these positions and choose wisely as to who you feel would be best to serve us in whatever capacity. We are in the election cycle, like I said, and I think this one is one of the most consequential election seasons in the territory. And I need people to understand that if we don't make the right decision now, we're going to pay for it. We're going to really pay for it. And I advise individuals to make the best decision um, moving forward. Make the best decision. Understand the people who are running to actually make change versus the people who are running just to be famous or get attention or whatever else reasons people run or to get rich. So please pick wisely. Understand people's platforms, be educated, listen to their radio shows. Many of them have radio shows or make appearances. So listen to them, listen to those individuals, and make the best decision for you moving forward. I think that is very, very, very important. And I think people need to just be reminded of that. So, with that being said, we're gonna have more of these episodes coming in July. July, we have a slew of guests that will be appearing on. So I look forward to interviewing those individuals. However, today we're interviewing someone who is who and I, me and him both share something in common. His career in technical education. And so I am curious to hear his perspective in regards to that, as that's one of the questions I'll be asking. But I'm now ready to introduce Mr. Smith. And so he was born on St. Thomas, USVI in 1981, grew up in the area of Savannah. He's 44 years of age, and he has three other siblings, one sister, two younger brothers. He is the son of Eleanor Donovan and Michael A. Smith. He has five children to this date, one girl, four boys, and he graduated with his GED in 97 at 16 years old, and graduated from MTI Microcomputer Technical Institute with an associate degree in computer systems occupational technology. At the age of 18, he obtained a universal license in HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration. He's also a business owner for 17 years doing HVAC, maintenance, engineering. He's a jack of all trades, some may say, and that includes being an educator, teaching the trade of HVAC. He's also a spoken word artist who loves to engage, uplift, and inspire people. He's very engaged with the community, the churches, and he also volunteers his services through the Boys and Girls Club, St. Thomas Rescue, the American Red Cross, Department of Education, the Office of Gun Violence, G. Clef Music Academy, Changing Lives Organizations, dedicated to helping the homeless, Marine Vocational Program, and Sparks, and a member of the Horace Carwood Democratic Club, East and West. His goal and mission as a senator is to raise the bar back up where it once was and keep raising it higher for life. It's about growth and development, driving the engine within the USVI. For some, choose to lower the bar because it was too high, creating problems and issues that the VI constantly facing. He in closing is asking for the opportunity to serve the people of the beautiful Royal US Virgin Islands. For who feels it knows, only those who know and go through it ultimately feels it. So those who feels it, let us make it change for a better Virgin Islands who shall inspire and spark a fire for the future generational leaders that will help to carry the torch for a stronger, more committed Virgin Islands. It's all worthwhile. And he is number 8 on the ballot for the St. Thomas St. John district in the Democratic primary, seeking a seat for the legislature of the Virgin Islands. I am pleased to bring on Mr. Michael Smith. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon. respect all the time. I'm great. Once you could hear me, I'm even more better. You could hear
Yes,
me?
I can hear you. You're great. Your voice is coming in good.
Great.
Great, great, great. So I know we just gave a wonderful introduction of who you are, but I want people to dive more behind the scenes of you as an individual and what led you to this point.
Thank you very much for the question and allowing the people worldwide, not only in the territory but worldwide, let them know who Michael A. Smith is,
Mhm.
and my reason for even choosing to become the people's representative, a public servant, you know. So
Yes.
what inspired me to go upon this mission this day is like all people in the Virgin Islands right now. I'm not a senator. So as the people could relate to, we all are in the stands watching the big game be played. And you have a lot of players in the game right now that making the game very difficult for the home team to win. So my mission is to get in and be part of the team that could start winning for the Virgin Islands and start taking a stance for the people in the stands, like you and I right now. You know?
Yes.
So that's my mission, to take a stance for the people in the stands.
Thank you for that. So we're gonna dive right into it. We have so many different issues impacting the territory, and one of them, as we know, is education. So, can you talk to us about where do you think education is in the territory, and what ideas or plans you have in mind to improve education once entering the legislature?
Yes, again, thank you for the good questions. Again, education is one of my basic and one of my number one platforms right now. Because like in 2024, I ran my campaign off of these simple principles that governs majority of the issues we face here in the territory, which is education, implementation, and accountability. So with education, education is not where it's supposed to be in our territory. And we know that by statistics, by the numbers, and everything that is shown. And what needs to be implemented or legislated is some financial literacy courses from beginning at elementary stages, go straight up. Because we as a people got to educate our people on how to make the money work for us and not working so hard for the money. So education is the first foundation of anything to drive this economy. If our people is not aware, if our people is not educated, if our people is not competent, we cannot serve to the highest of our potential. So right now, in these times, we need to empower our people, and that's with education. And as you know, and as you stated, with a career technical education, even a little bit of hands-on that goes with the theory in
Mhm.
elementary comes up goes a long, long way. Because the theory alone is only is only could do so much.
Yes.
But with the physical, you could have that full completion. And that's what we need. We need a full completion so the people could feel confident in whatever they're being educated upon.
Thank you for that response. So one of the things, the Board of Education just released their school management and accountability report. And Kids Count also shared some data, and based on the information provided, the math scores across the territory has been its lowest in the past 5 to 6 years. So, what is something you think you can do in working with the Department of Education, that which would be in partnership with the executive branch, to ensure that they're getting the necessary resources and support to help our teachers in, work with the students to improve their scores? What is some ideas you have in that regard?
Yes, yes, thank you for that. And it's very important for the government agencies to supply the necessary tools, equipment, and stuff for the teachers, because the teachers is the one that got to orchestrate everything and bring it down and break it down in the easiest of terms for the students. So once the teachers are equipped, not only equipped, but they need to also know that the teachers has a voice and it needs to be heard. And also, what happened to majority of the after school programs, the programs to, you know, to catch them back up? Just like even right now, a lot of children is failing, and probably some of them have to go to summer school. Some of them can't even pay that extreme cost for summer school right now, because it's like $300 and something for a class that they fail, that they have to pay. And a lot of them just refuse to do that and just say, man, I just repeat the class. And we shouldn't have an attitude of that. We should see the people that is lacking and that's not up to par and create a special environment for them to catch back up.
Okay, thank you for that. And I think another thing that people need to be aware of is that the executive branch has a lot of responsibility. The legislature's primary role is to draft legislation, provide oversight, and approve the budget. So, you know, those are their main roles. And to, of course, create revenue generating legislation. That's their roles. But the oversight, many people have felt that this legislature did not exercise enough oversight. What is something you think you can do coming into the 37th legislature if you're elected to help ensure that oversight of the agencies is exhibited across the board?
Thank you for that. Not a great question, you know, because it is lacking of accountability and implementation, especially if legislatures makes policies or legislation. They are making it for the betterment of the people, and it needs to be heard and executed correctly and immediately, so it could be effectively done for the people to start getting over the hurdle that they're under right now. So to talk about this is so simple, but we don't exercise it or execute it. I call it the triangle, just like Phil Jackson and the Chicago Bulls. I don't know if you remember them times, or you're too young to have been watching those stuff, man, but that was my era, you know, and Jordan is my guy, you know. So right now is my Jordan prime move and time right now, because I'm Michael. I take off the Smith and go on like Jordan, because Jordan is a hard worker, and his work ethic is focused on what he's executing. So it's the call a triangle, offense or defense for our territory. Remember, one branch is legislative, one is executive, one is judicial. This is a triangle. If one is lacking, the other two is responsible to hold that one accountable. And that's not been happening.
Yes. So moving along, as we talk about the roles of the executive branch and what you could do in your specific role as a senator in the legislature, let's talk about the economy. The economy is one of the main issues many Virgin Islanders faced. So what are some ideas you have? Because as a senator, you do play a part in helping to draft legislation that would help improve the economy. So what are some things you're thinking about that you could see yourself proposing to help improve the economy?
Yes, thank you. Our economy, yes, is very, very low and very failing the people right now, and it needs more action. And you're very correct. So legislation that I will draft up and for them to consider will be something like non-profit organizations, getting them more involved to help diverse agencies within our territory. We seem not to educate our people and get them aware the power that even a non-profit organization could have a great impact in our territory. And that's one thing, that's one thing to drive the economy, because when the government can't hear the arguments, they have a non-profit that could go and cater to the needs of the people also, and fill in the blanks that the agency having a hard time filling. Another it's all about income generation also, because if you can't generate revenue, because at the end of the day, funding is always the cry. Without funding, you can't move anything. You know, and
Yes.
I'm a money maker. I'm a visionary. You know, so I always get creative ways to come up with income generational revenues. And I always talk about our dumps. Our dumps. One man trash is another man treasure. We don't recycle it enough. And the thing about it, we don't recycle enough because the problem with that is that we import everything. So we have a lack of commodity and resources here. So the resources that don't come here, we need to, instead of just putting them on a dump and shipping them out or whatever, recycle them, make natural resources from the metals or whatever, you know, the tires, whatever, even come up with creative ways that you could use these recycled materials to build our roads, make better roads, make better housings, make better everything, you know, give back something to the people. You know what I mean? All the plastics and the dump could be recycled, turned into stuff that they could actually give away to people if people need. You know what I mean? It's so much different generational revenues to drive our economy, but we need to come together as a team, because me alone, I can't do it. And you know this. I could draft legislation all day, but if I don't have my support of my colleagues, what can I do? What can I do? And guess what? Matter of fact, I know what I could do, because the people, I'm the people's representative, and the people see my initiatives by keeping them aware and transparent of the goals and missions for them and the betterment of them. And once the people is on my side, I'm sure my colleagues will be on my side also.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think one of the things that people need to understand is the economy. If we don't have the money, then a lot of the projects we're trying to accomplish won't get accomplished. So we need the money to do what we're trying to do. So that's why I don't believe in unfunded mandates. When we propose legislation and have no money to get whatever it needs to get done, then what are we doing? So
it's like vain.
Yeah, it's very important that we really have individuals who understand the importance of the economy and what role it plays in our society. Now, this next topic is one that impacts all Virgin Islanders. However, St. Thomas and St. John has been really dealing with it on a day-to-day basis, and that's the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority.
Correct.
You know, that is, I have that question because you live in that district, so I know you understand the pain and the struggles that other Virgin Islanders in that district face in relation to the Water and Power Authority. You know, I had Senator Lewis on last week, and one of the things he mentioned was that no one person could address WAPA, and I agree with that. That is a collective approach that's going to have to address that. But what are some ideas that you think you could convey to the Water and Power Authority in collaboration with the executive branch to get power and water, it's both electricity and water, to where the Virgin Islanders can feel that they're paying and they're getting reliable service? What are some suggestions and ideas you have?
Man, I'm glad that people get to hear all of these creativity out of my mind, because I had a forum the other day and I really can't say too much in 2 minutes. So I'm very thankful for VI in a way, season 2. Love are you. You know, we got a mission to accomplish. But back to your question now. And your question revolves around, say the question one more time.
Sure. Like what? No worries. Sure. What is some of your ideas and suggestions and plans to address the ongoing crisis of WAPA?
Okay. Yes. WAPA and the Wattzillas. Look like we got bring King Kong in here. But But some of my ideas definitely, right, is that we definitely need the competency in our agency down there at the factory, at the plant. Because obviously someone is not getting it right down there when it comes to the technology and preventative maintenance procedures and foreseeing problems before it occurs. Some problems, like if an accident happen on the road and knock out a pole, now that's a different subject.
Yes.
You know, but differently, WAPA with electricity, they need to bridge the gap of a majority of these agencies in our territory. We have to face the news that we have to have some kind of private partnership going on. We have to get with the professionals that are proficient in that category and in that field to bring betterment for the Virgin Islanders. And not only when we qualify that individual, once we do see that person or company, we have to make sure that our people are not left out. And that's the biggest thing. We got a lot of private partnerships before time, and when they come in, because when I see WAPA on the road, I really don't see WAPA. I see Hagland, some other private company doing most of the pole work and everything.
Yes.
So in my mind, it's like, what our technicians for WAPA doing? What are our people doing? What are we learning? You know what I mean? Because we should be feeling ashamed and embarrassed that other people that come and do the work for us. And then we watching them do the work for us, and then we still don't learn nothing. So we ain't getting nothing out of it. And that's wrong. That is wrong. I don't mind getting a private partnership, but involve our people in learning. So when their contract is done, our people could continue the mission in maintaining and keeping everything up to par. And second to that, WAPA, definitely we need diverse energy to help out WAPA situation. Because WAPA, we as a people, we know we need WAPA. Because when the power goes out and we have to run our generators, whether we paying diesel or we paying gas to run it, it's very costly and very expensive. So we need to have other diverse energy source. We have the wind, we have the air, we have the sea, and we have the sun. And some of these and some of these solar projects, I think that they had needed to elevate a lot of those solar panels so we could at least have access to the bottom spaces, that we could create even other places and outlets for businesses or anything else. And then when it comes to the water situation, we live around water. We're surrounded by water. Why don't we have desalination plants or set up all around that could feed water from the ocean, turn it back into fresh water, and serve the community also with that water, you know? And not only that, because I really believe in community engagement. Yes. And one of the things that I love about our territory is such the historical sites. And we have a lot of historical sites and engineering in which I call the reservoirs. I don't know if you know about the reservoirs. It's like big cisterns. Yes. And we have a lot of them in different communities. These reservoirs was here for a reason. You know, I always say, you can't take away the old and replace it with the new. You have to know some of the old, because the old will always be there. And that's the foundation, and you might have to always turn to the old. So the reservoirs is for the community, because my vision is to have community gardens and stuff. And the reservoirs could be rebuilt, and that could be a water supply, whether it's for the garden, for the community garden, or for people who just lacking. You know? Yes. But we got to hold WAPA accountable, and I feel WAPA don't feel the blunt of it like the people do, because when they mash up a lot of people equipment and stuff inside the house, there's no penalty on them. You know, so WAPA need to start coming up with incentives to make the people kind of happy, because WAPA, believe it or not, is some of the cause of the island stresses.
Yes. Agreed. And there was legislation that was drafted in the 35th legislature that seek to basically do what you just said, require WAPA to reimburse individuals when power surges or different things that causes their appliances to be destroyed. Of course, the legislation did not pass the legislature. But there was the previous legislature did take some action in some of the members did take some action in trying to do what you just stated. And I'm glad you mentioned about gardens because my next question is involving agriculture and food security. And that is something I believe, and you mentioned it earlier that we export everything. If people don't know, we export 95% of the things we have here. And so what are your thoughts about how we can really prioritize agriculture and food security in the territory? Well, in fact, before you answer that, I want people to understand that St. Croix has one of the hugest agricultural fairs in the Caribbean.
Yes,
Um,
big up St.
and
Croix.
many people from the Caribbean come to the Virgin Islands just to experience that. So, what are your thoughts in terms of us really prioritizing agriculture and food security moving forward in the territory?
Thank you for that question, man, because as you mentioned, St. Croix and agriculture.
Yes.
My first time actually going to the event was last year, and man, that it blew me out of the water, bro. That one
Mm-hmm.
day was so special, man. I didn't even know it was so put together like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And that would not be my last one. I could tell you that, you
Yes.
know. But to talk on the topic about agriculture and the benefits of agriculture to our island, because in our island we have sun all year round,
Mm-hmm.
all year round. We could grow all type of stuff right here in our islands. Right
Yes.
now, I even not too sure, but I know I saw them with a hydroponic
Mm-hmm.
farm. They try and start over in St. Croix also,
Yes. Yes.
you know, and that's another big one, you know, because people think that you have to only farm in soil, you know, but it's many different ways and methods to grow food.
Mm-hmm.
And once we understand and get the education of agriculture, and that's another thing. Agriculture department in the government agency don't have a big budget either.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to uplift that budget, because they need more nurseries, they need more plants in these nurseries. They need to be going out educating the educational facilities, and not only stopping there, but educating everybody throughout the territory, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
private, government, you know, private schools, governmental schools, everywhere. Because food is us.
Mm-hmm.
We are from the earth, and one day we must go back to the earth. So
Yes.
we got to take advantage of our earth. And like I said, Virgin Islands, we have everything here in our territory. Everything. We got food, we got medicine. It's just that we don't know how to transform these stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a story about the slave master and the slave. The slave out in the field, they cutting the cane and bringing it back to master. Master producing the sugar, but they don't have no clue on how to produce the sugar. So
Mm-hmm.
when they do rebel and say, man, I tired of master and take over now, they got a cane, but they don't know how
Mm-hmm.
to make the sugar. So now the slave master still got opportunity to make a deal with them and say, okay, bring me the cane and I'll make the sugar for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the mentality we gotta get out of. We gotta
Yes.
learn, and that start with education. We gotta learn how to take the natural plant and make it into a substance that is profitable for the people. And I know we could do that. And agriculture don't even stop at farming. You know, you have animal agriculture. You know, you have
Mm-hmm.
fishing agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much different types of agriculture out there. You know, right now,
Yes.
matter of fact, I've been reviewing and researching right now in Australia. They got this company, it's called Hemp Employment.
Mm-hmm.
And they see the big vision to grow their country in Australia right now from hemp. Because
Mm-hmm.
hemp is universal and it can make so much diverse necessary resources that we need as people also.
Thank you for sharing that. And moving right along, another thing that I think we prioritize a lot, but still needs improvement, is tourism. So, what are your thoughts? What are some things you think you can do as a senator working with the legislature to continue improving tourism in the territory?
Yes, thank you. I have several ideas for that, for tourism. Because one of my platforms them is sports, parks, and recreation.
Yes.
So, like I said, everything got to start home. We got to clean
Mm-hmm.
up our home because me as a person, I would not invite you to my home and my home is dirty.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't feel right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we shouldn't feel right. So we should set up our place that we want tourist attraction to come and get out of our territory. And we got to put things in place that could harness the skill sets that is needed to attract outside influences and tourists and everything, because we have talented people in the Virgin Islands, but we just don't have the facilities to harness that and cultivate it and grow it to its potential so it could shine. Most of our people have to leave and then become stars, whether in sports or music or whatever. We get recognized out there quicker than we get recognized right here. You understand? And
Mm-hmm.
we could admit to that. We could see our stars, you know?
Yes.
But we have to cultivate the place and facilities for our stars to grow and shine and get the backative from home, you know? So we could start getting the sports tourism. We could start having like, if I want to get a car racing going on, because they have talented people here who's mechanics who could build all type of cars, fast cars and stuff, and we don't get that to be shown. And a lot of people, believe it or not, around the world, they would love to make the Virgin Islands one of their destinations.
Yes. And I think a part that plays up in that whole conversation is horse racing.
Thank
That
you.
has been another conversation that we've been talking about. There's legislation right now that is looking well, I shouldn't say legislation. There's an agreement that's going before the legislature in terms of bringing horse racing back to St. Croix and the agreement with Southland Gaming. And so, what are you? I don't know if you have the chance to review the agreement or look into it, but what are your thoughts on the whole conversation around horse racing
The
as a
whole
whole?
conversation around horse races, man, our Crucians, I know St. Thomians love horse racing and
Hmm.
all of we, but
Yes.
Crucians, they overdo.
Hmm.
They overdo to have an outlet that they could use the skill set and broaden their horizons over there. So
Yes.
definitely we need to cater to that need over there also. Because St. Croix is, I always call St. Croix the gem of the Virgin Islands. You
Hmm.
know, it is the gem. And once we look at sources to help St. Croix, because I always been saying we's one VI. Regardless of two different districts, we need to move
Hmm.
as one VI. So it's like a balance. If one is low, the other one need to bring it back to balance. If one is, bring it back. So we
Hmm.
need each other, and we need to stop fighting against each other. Because competition against each other, we ain't reaching nowhere. We just pulling each other back. Because every time we think we're going forward, one other person, one other island down in the other island. No, we
Hmm.
should work together to motivate everyone, because we all in the same situation.
Thank you for that. Moving on, one of the things you mentioned in your platform, in your biography, was your experience with the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. So you already know where I'm going with this next question. Gun violence is ravaging across the territory. St. Croix just had someone murdered last night.
Yesterday, last night.
Um, with gun violence. So what are your thoughts? What do you think the legislature needs to do? What role you could see yourself playing with the new administration to ensure that we get, first of all, it needs to be addressed immediately. But I'm talking about once you get elected, what is something you could see yourself doing with the new administration to ensure that gun violence decreases across the territory?
Yes, yes, that's a great question because crime is like people just dying left and right, and it's a
Mhm.
sad situation, especially to the elderly people, the senior citizen in our community, because if the future leaders who's supposed to take care of them isn't around, who's gonna take care of them? That's the ultimate
Mhm.
thing to know. You know what I mean? And it's very sad, and something needs to be done. I work with gun violence prevention, yes. And it's only
Mhm.
so much that even gun violence prevention could do.
Yes.
Remember, you could set up all the means for a thief not to thief. But if a thief
Mhm.
really want to thief,
They're
nothing will
gonna do it
stop him
anyway.
from thieving. Correct.
Mhm.
But still, that doesn't mean you shouldn't prepare stuff in case that moment arrives. You always must be
Yes.
prepared. You know,
Mhm.
and the sad part about it, gun violence, we had a rally, we had a talking about emancipation. Next day, the next week, something happened.
Mhm.
It's sad. It had an incident in my own home area, Savannah.
Mhm.
That's where it started. A lot of stuff started from right there.
Yes.
And unfortunately, even my son got to saw because that was his one of his friends.
Wow.
So that affect my son.
Mhm.
You understand? And he got to get counseling also for them kind of situations.
Mhm.
Because right now in the Virgin Islands, everybody is stressed.
Mhm.
And we have to find a way to alleviate that stress. And the only how we gonna get to that point is by having more town halls, being more community engaged. And
Mhm.
I want to mention VIPD. But,
Sure.
VIPD, right, don't even have the tools and equipment necessary to even fully execute their job either. And they always
Mhm.
right now complaining about lack of manpower. So
Mhm.
basically, we need to start having this educational process also and implement and legislate little programs like just like you have JROTC in high
Mhm.
school. Why can't they have a police academy,
Mhm.
right? And not
Yes.
and not only that, right now the 36 legislature is implementing a lot of different gun restriction bills,
Mhm.
and a lot of it is making it harder for gun owners.
Mhm.
Because personally I'm a gun owner,
Mhm.
and everybody know the dangers we face on a daily.
Yes.
Don't make it harder for the gun owner, because when you get a gun owner, they go through a class just like the police, and then when they serve as a security guard, is like there's a Leo, a law enforcement officer. You
Mhm.
have to abide by those rules. And not only that, if you see a situation that the police is not around, hopefully you could get involved and help the situation.
Mhm.
You know, because
Yes.
because gun owners plays a big role in the territory. But most and foremost is a stress problem, and we need to get to the people of the Virgin Islands through town halls and community engagement.
Yes. I agree with that, and I will give credit to the police department and Department of Education. They have two police like student academies, community officer academies. One is in St. Croix at the St. Croix Educational Complex, and the one in St. Thomas, I believe, is at Eudora Kent. I noticed because one of my cousins was a recent graduate of the program. So I think the thing
So
is they
why?
need to
So
just
why?
expand it.
So what? Oh, okay. That's what I'm about to
Yes,
ask you. So
yes.
why
I
isn't
think
it
they just need to be
all?
expanded,
Okay, good,
and make
great.
sure that they get the funding necessary to expand the program, because I think it's already there. It's just now they need to open it up to other
Implement.
schools, other areas, so that more students could benefit from it. Because those individuals, they could go and work for the police department and earn $44,000 as a starting salary. Immediately upon graduating high school. So it's there. It's just that they need to put more money towards expanding the program so that we could get more officers to be a
And
part
not
of.
and not only that, but they need to create the awareness. We have a
Yes, promotion
big
of it. Yes.
big issue with awareness because, like I say, in the Virgin Islands, we have everything, a lot of things,
Hmm.
majority of the things we have, but
Hmm.
the awareness is
Of
our
it all.
problem,
Yes,
and that's
exactly.
why we to be sending away so much grant monies and different things because we don't create the awareness with even the non-profits like I was talking about earlier could benefit from some of those grants that could
Hmm.
alleviate some of the problems from these different agencies. So we need to start being more transparent and creating awareness.
Great, great, great. Let's move on to another issue that many Virgin Islanders are facing. And this one is all of us are dealing with it. And I think to be honest, St. Croix is getting a tougher end of this stick, and that's healthcare. So healthcare has continued to be an issue that we've been dealing with forever. As a senator, what do you think you can do once elected as a senator? What do you think you can do in working with the your colleagues in the legislature, the executive branch, and I would even take it a step further with our delegate to Congress, or whoever is elected our delegate to Congress, to see how we could improve healthcare? Because at this point, we need federal support.
Facts.
So, what is something you think you could do with your colleagues, like executive branch and the delegate to Congress, to ensure that healthcare is addressed for our Virgin Islanders?
Yes, for any economy to strive, we have to have a good healthcare system. Our healthcare system is failing. Nobody don't believe in our healthcare system, to tell you the truth. And
Hmm.
if they want to go away all the time because they feel safe with the help abroad. But like I say
Hmm.
again, all certain individuals need to go and collaborate and seek different sources, whether it's in the Philippines, whether it's in the States, whatever, whoever is top in healthcare, Cuba, whoever, and have a collaboration and understanding. Like I say, every single thing boils back down to research with education. Education is the key before you could even begin any implementation.
Hmm.
So that's why I always ran my campaign off of education, implementation, and then enforcement with accountability. Because education is the first hurdle in everything. And we have to get the knowledge to grow. If you don't know, you can't grow. So we have to work a lot. And like I say, also, we have to engage non-profits
Hmm.
because non-profits could do so much in the times that we facing that the agency can't.
Hmm.
So we need to start that way because to actually go in and remodel that whole those two hospitals, JFL and Roy Lester.
Hmm.
That's a lot in the budget. So we have to walk along federal and see if this is a really a state of emergency and what kind of funding we could receive to get this body up for the people.
Hmm.
Because if we don't have no health security, the people could never feel safe. You know,
Yes.
and health is a big concern too because not only with regular patients but they have dialysis for in St. John. We need to get up
Hmm.
those kind of facilities because diabetes is rampant on our island.
Hmm.
And that's another thing. Who is the nutritionist? Who's going out teaching who's going to our schoolers?
Hmm.
why
True.
why don't we participate in our whole island? Why election systems don't go out throughout the year to educate the children about why to elect?
Mm. Yes, sir. Yeah, I think Just lost him a second. He'll come back on in just a second. Um, we will. I will bring him back on as soon as he gets everything settled. But he was talking about um he was talking about in relation to our hospitals and healthcare and about and basically doing more of educating our people about how to eat healthy, how to be safe. So just bear that in mind. Yeah, I was just kind of sharing with them what you were talking about. Technical difficulties is something, it happens to the best of us. Go ahead
Yes,
and
sorry.
continue what. No worries. Go ahead and continue what you were sharing.
No, I was just saying like St. John need a dialysis center, and we need so much different centers, especially mental health,
Hmm.
mental health
Yes.
facilities. A lot of people is stressed and don't know how to handle this stress. So
Hmm.
these outlets needs to be created also too.
Yes. All right. Moving along, and it's kind of similar to what I was asking, what I was about to ask you, but we're getting a new delegate to Congress, whatever we, after this whole cycle. So there'll be somebody new for the first time in the past 10 years. As you would, if you were to be elected, you would be a freshman senator. That person will be a freshman delegate to Congress. What is something you think that you could be able to communicate with a new delegate to Congress about and get their support in moving forward?
Yes, I would like to talk about St. Thomas not being recognized because this incident happened to me last night. I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to really get an Amazon card,
Mm-hmm.
and it's certain criteria you gotta fill out before
Yeah.
authenticating. And when they
Mm-hmm.
tell me to scan my ID, they don't
Mm-hmm.
recognize the ID,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a big problem, man. So I can't
Mm-hmm.
get the benefits of a Amazon card to get certain little deals that I could spend like a credit card. So
Yes.
that is very hampering.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, our postal services period. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Our packages come in, everything open.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is destroyed or something missing.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? We have to work on legislation to create our kind of own independent structure from off of utilizing Puerto Rico too much.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? But
Yes.
but Puerto Rico is also our friends because we have friendship there for VI Puerto
Mm-hmm.
Rico. So I don't understand why we don't collaborate with Puerto Rico also because they also have medicinal cannabis and illegal use of it over there also that will
Mm-hmm.
help with different stresses on our territory. So we
Mm-hmm.
also need to work alongside the Congress to work with Puerto Rico to also bring different diverse income generating revenues and conveniences to our territory.
Yes. And I want to just share. In the past, I don't know about now, but I know in the past, the Virgin Islands did try to get our own postal service hub. However,
Yes,
we were told we were too small. And so here we are again.
I
That's Go ahead.
I don't want to cut you out, but you just remind me of something when you said
Hmm.
that comment with the
Yes.
population and the regulations behind that, that create the opposition.
Hmm.
The same thing is happening for St. John and their hospital too. That's the
Hmm.
reason they can erect a full-blown hospital.
Hmm.
And some of those legislations need to be tweaked and amended a bit so we could get those amenities to those who need.
Yes. Moving on, talking about industrial development now. You've been hearing a lot of candidates that are running for governor, especially, talk about, we
So
need to
sure.
really invest in the South Shore, industrial development, companies need to come back, new manufacturing. What are some of your thoughts in relation to industrial development across the territory?
Well, that is a big one too. because first and foremost, we should not even let that South Shore go down. Even which part Hess and everything is, we shouldn't let all of that go down. That was
Mm-hmm.
that was our central hub. Everybody would have had to come right in our ports,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what makes the Virgin Islands such a strategic spot
Mm-hmm.
in this world. And St. Croix have it all, like I say. But like I
Mm-hmm.
said, it's gonna take a lot of income generation to move that South Shore back to where it
Mm-hmm.
belongs. That's a big project. So I'm not saying it's impossible to be done, but some kind of
Mm-hmm.
industrialization needs to be done there. So our gas prices, everything could be, at least some kind of incentives could come back to us. Not only the rum cover over or something else, but industry, something that
Mm-hmm.
we could actually export.
Yes. And moving next year is going to mark 10 years since the infamous hurricanes Irma and Maria
Whew,
came. Like that is a whole conversation in itself where, we provided resources to St. Thomas. St. Croix was like, let me help you, give you support because Irma attacked you all first. And then
thank
here,
you.
2 weeks later, Maria came and attacked St. Croix. It was just an interesting year for all of us. But I say that to say it's been 10 years, almost 10 years since those hurricanes ravaged us. And one of the things we're still going through is disaster recovery. We have a new school that's about to be built. It's practically done. They're just doing final touches. It's going to be open in August. What are what are some of the plans you have to hold the next administration accountable in making sure that the projects that have been allocated money are completed? Prime example, Party Joseph Stadium. That has been a project that can't seem to get done forever. So what are some of your ideas or plans or even suggestions that you plan to
Yes,
work with the administration to ensure that these projects are done and done on time?
yes. Thank you for that question, because like I told you earlier, one of my platforms is definitely sports, parks, and recreation.
Hmm.
And that probably Eight Joseph's is another. It's like St. Croix is just crying for help over there, just
Yes.
crying. You know what I mean? And to hold these people accountable, you have to be firm and stick to your word. And
Hmm.
whatever contract is signed, we have to go line upon line.
Yes.
Make sure they're spending it correctly, make sure they're making the time correctly, and also having someone to at least check up on them
Hmm.
frequently. Because when
Yes.
people is not watching or overseeing certain things, people just do what they want. And we have the
Hmm.
biggest problem right here in St. Thomas, because we bring in all types of people. Give us a 6 for a 9, and then we left with a 6, and they gone with
Hmm.
a 9. And
Yes.
that need to stop, and we still behind. And that need to stop. So
Okay.
I will definitely be on them.
Definitely. Transportation. what are some of your thoughts on transportation? For me, airport is a big problem. St. Croix, with the whole Spirit closing, that definitely hampered our travel. So realistically, we only have JetBlue, which comes a few times a week. Delta that only comes on Saturdays. American Airlines, that's the only one that's on a constant basis. I will say United, as announced, is coming back to St. Croix. Praise God. I will have another option. But what are your thoughts in terms of air travel for the territory? Like, what are your thoughts on that? And what do you think you could do as a senator working with the executive branch to ensure that more air travel comes to the territory?
Yes. What you have to do with these airlines. These
Yes.
airlines, they are not gonna spend their time or waste their time if the deal ain't sweet enough for them.
Mm-hmm.
And really and truly, St. Croix, our gem, our
Yes.
gem got so much opportunity to become an international airport. That not only stateside flights or whatnot, but international flights. you
Mm-hmm.
know. And not
Yes.
only that, we could keep on growing, because how many young people already got awarded from Port Authority for being a flight captain?
Mm-hmm.
We have a Virgin Islands have everything. It's just that we need to build stuff and bring stuff to the table that we could
Yes.
stand out from the rest. Imagine us having our own airline.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
True.
it's possible. And but the most income generating revenue is really carried by the marine industry.
Mm-hmm.
The marine industry makes more money than aviation. And the
Yeah.
thing is, our people do not capitalize on the marine industry. And as somebody who bring his children and understand and start to learn about the marine vocational programs and the
Mm-hmm.
marine industry, it all boils back then again, my brethren, to what? Education.
Mm-hmm.
If
And
you
I'm glad you brought up marine industry because we have a battle. I don't like to say battle because I believe they're our neighbors, they're our friends, but we have a bit of a disagreement. Let me use that word
uh-huh.
with BVI in terms of marine fees. They just increased the fees, and
Correct.
realistically, the local governments cannot settle the dispute. Because many people know, if you don't know, the U.S. Virgin Islands is a territory, so we're overseen by the federal government. Yes, we have our own governor and our own structure, but at the end, the United States is who is going to have to negotiate with United Kingdom because BVI is in the same boat. There's only so much certain decisions they could make. So those two countries now have to basically settle this dispute because it's more of a federal issue in a sense. I mean, in terms of fees and the governor of the Virgin Islands, he cannot settle a dispute like that with a
Congress.
different territory. So Congress and the president and them would have to step in with the United Kingdom and their king and their leadership to try to address the prime minister to try to address that. So what are your thoughts on the whole fees conversation? Because that's always been something
Yes,
been talked about recently.
to me, it's making it hard for the marinas right here in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Because sometimes even like you talk about hurricane,
Yes.
most of the time, that's another thing. What are we gonna do? Because most of those mariners, they go to Tortola for protection.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't have a spot here set up that boats could really go and feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
So most majority of them always go to Tortola. So we got to definitely work with Congress to alleviate this problem here because it's getting ridiculous. And only Trump could really say something about that. And I don't know I don't know if Trump ever been here, but he need to come and somebody need to invite him.
Yeah. All right. Moving along. One of the things you did mention it earlier in the episode, which was roads. What is something you think you could do to ensure that the roads are being kept and that public safety is a priority for the next administration? What is something you think you could do as a senator to work with the next administration to ensure that our roads are being kept um and are safe for our residents?
Yes, thank you for that question also. Our roads are horrible. I could tell you.
Mm-hmm.
The front end of any vehicle can't hold up 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely with our roads, we definitely what I would my vision for our infrastructure period is that we have old stuff, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my vision is to create new roads. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Create these new roads and and lay the pipes them, everything brand new infrastructure for this brand new project of roads.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that project is ready to go online, you open up that project and you close off the old road.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could do upgrades to that infrastructure with movement still in our territory.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, good.
that's with everything because I never understood why would you break down or close schools when you don't have a school already for them to go back into.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should always set up something first, then close down the old, and then go to the new. And then if you want to repair or restructure the old, you could do that.
Next question I have. So, if you were to be elected, as a Democrat, we all know the Democrats are projected to get the majority of the legislature again. That's a constant. But as a Democrat, if you were to be elected, two questions. As a freshman senator, which committee would you like to chair, or have you even thought about that as yet?
Well, I don't know education to my top.
Okay.
Education is definitely to my top, but however many positions they want me to fill in there, and there's a need for it, I'm willing to fill. I could put it like that.
Okay. Because I think I always like to ask that question because most times the answer would be something that's really important on their platform, something they really want to make a huge difference in. And you
Education.
mentioned education is yours, so that's not a surprise to me that you would want to be the next chair of the Education and Workforce Development Committee. Speaking of that committee, the second part of that is workforce development.
Correct.
And I know that we as individuals share that in common because the work I do on the board involves around preparing individuals for the workforce by getting skills necessary and getting certifications. And you have that insight because you work with individuals that get skills and certifications that can go out into the workforce. So, what is some things you can do or that you think you can help support the Department of Education, the Department of Labor, and any other agency in ensuring that workforce development continues to happen and that we provide the best resources necessary to improve our laborers, employees, individuals that make up the workforce?
Yes, I would definitely collaborate with all of the workforce development team, like labor, like you say. That's one of our foundations. Because a lot of people are not aware
Your
of the.
voice, I am not hearing you right now.
Hello, hey, you can hear me? Hey, you can hear me? No. Well, it's probably your Zoom, man. Me, I don't think it's me. I think it's you. You freeze. Technical difficulties, my people, but I just have you here just listening to nothing differently. But definitely, you're gonna never see a senator like me ever, because I'm passionate about helping the people. I'm in the same predicament with the people, and I just try and make it a little better for the people because I'm a man of God, and I want God's will to be done through me to elevate the vision
My thing was
and the
having
mission of a
difficulties
better
too.
Virgin Islands.
So
Yes,
I'm
yes,
glad
sir.
you were still talking, which was very important. So but yeah, I think developing our workforce is very important. And we talk about how we need to move forward as a territory. And I think that is one of the key components, and it's really making sure that we have enough people to get these projects completed and get them done.
So one thing, my brethren, I want to specify why education is so important. It's
Yes.
because it's empowerment to the mind. It's to let even the youngsters understand who they are and what's their purpose of being a Virgin Islander, and
Yes.
let them know what our territory has been facing from past events to present, and what mindset that they have to make things better for our islands.
Yes.
So if people have to have a will to want to get stuff done. You know, a lot of times, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, my child too small to do this," or "My child too small." I see little children driving big trucks.
Hmm.
little try driving motor, whatever, because they have parents around them that is confident in them and been working with them and training them that they can know when to leave them, take the helm. And we as a people, we got to know when how to educate our people and how to release them out in the territory to implement what has been learned. And we have
Yeah.
really been failing the people on that part.
All right, and I have two more questions for you before we give you the opportunity to close and make your last call to the people before the election. My second to last question is evolving. As we know, we're getting a new governor and a lieutenant governor. What do you think you can bring in working with the executive branch? Like, what is that relationship you think you can have with whoever is elected? What is one thing you hope to work with that administration on that will benefit the people of the Virgin Islands?
Well, I hope and pray that we can meet a common ground, a rapport with each other.
Yes.
Because I think before all the legislatures even start this mission, as a team, we definitely need to have a great discussion amongst each other. Hash whatever got hash out from the beginning. Let the plan of this mission of a better Virgin Islands be executed without issues and problems for the territory to see dysfunction. We need to be moving in order, because anything without order will be chaos and chaotic.
Yes. And my last question is what in 2 years, what is something you would hope to be able to tell the people if you got elected?
In 2 years, I
Yes.
love to tell the people what I fight for them, whatever it may be, because it's a plethora of things I want to bring and legislate. And one thing I see that definitely needs to be done is looking over our VI code and having someone specifically see what needs to be amended, because everything in the code, everything we need is in our code to direct us. We always talking about creating new legislation, but sometimes I don't want to know if we forgot about the old that was passed and why
Mhm.
they was passed, because they had to been passed for some kind of reason. And another thing is, we have a bad thing of continuing the work or legislation that somebody has already started and never completed.
Mhm.
So we have to start to take a backtrack also, just like how certain amount of these agencies need to be audited. We need to audit our VI code book.
I know, and I'm glad you mentioned that because the legislature has something called the code reviser, and their
Correct.
job is to do just that.
Correct.
And that person kind of serves under the purview of the Rules and Judiciary Committee of the legislature, which is the clearinghouse, and their job is to do just that. Look at
Exactly.
legislation that is conflicting issues. The agencies tell the legislature, okay, these are things that are affecting our operation. The code reviser goes through the code to see what things are actually what law is messing up the operations, and then the senators are supposed to come up with legislation to fix it. Either
Correct.
if that means repeal it, add something, take out something, make a whole new bill in the nature of a substitute, whatever the case is. That's why the code reviser is there.
Correct.
So I think it's just again individuals understanding that people need to do their jobs and that they
Enforcement.
get paid to do. That's where the
Enforcement.
enforcement comes in. So I'm gonna give you this opportunity to make your closing before the show comes up. This is the opportunity to really tell the people why we should give you the opportunity to serve in the 37th legislature.
Again, thank you for the opportunity to be on VI in the We podcast.
Yes.
Remember, you're doing justice for we. And I love that in you, because that's the visions we need to seek and pursue. Because me, Michael A. Smith, vote number 8 on the ballot, Michael A. Smith for Senate. The reason I'm endorsing myself to be a true public servant to you It's because I feel our pain. I see our problems. I'm tired just like everybody else. I am stressed just like everybody else. And we can't continue Virgin Islands to settle for less. So let's strive and take our time and be our best. And as a senator, keep the people at top priority and top interest, because it's in the people we have to invest. So give thanks for everything, my royal people. And always remember that you are royal and divine. And you know why? Because you all are one of a kind. Special people. Special people. Now let's get it together and vote number 8, Michael A. Smith, for Senate. Send him in. And it's time to elevate, my people. Love you all, our royal family of the Virgin Islands, and my people watching worldwide. Love alone from Michael A. Smith, the people's representative for Senate, meeting the needs that needed to be met.
Thank you for coming on, and I know this is just the beginning of you coming on the show. So thank you for coming on, and I really truly appreciate the opportunity to have this robust conversation. And I think this, like you said earlier, this is more than just a forum where you have 2 minutes just to talk about something. You have a lot of time to really dive into the issue and give your real suggestions, ideas, and plans. So thank you. I truly appreciate you coming on. The team appreciates you coming on. And we look forward to more interviews in the future.
Thank you, my brother. One love.
All right. So thank you again to Michael Smith for coming on the show today to talk about his plans, his visions, his goals, as to what he sees himself in representing the people of the Virgin Islands in this work of the legislature. As you all know, we dealt with different technical difficulties. He had a technical difficulty. I had two. However, we were able to still come through today. So I want people to just understand that the team, we are working to address these technical difficulties because we did not have them in season one. However, we're dealing with them in season two and we're trying our best to address them. But I hope people understand that this show is here to provide as much information as we can so that we can make better decisions moving forward and that we could be more responsible in how we are making the decisions that affects the people of the Virgin Islands. So I really want people to um to understand that there's people interested in the work, and I think we need to just ensure um that they are supported, even if we don't see them in that role. We support them in whatever role that we believe that they can make a difference. So, with that being said, this is your host and political commentator, Anthony Mardenborough Jr. This was episode 5. Can one person make a last impact? Michael A. Smith. He's running for Senate. He's number 8 on the ballot for the St. Thomas St. John District in the Democratic primary on August 1st. Please go out to vote during early voting, which is July 20th to July 29th. Both St. Croix and St. Thomas District. Please go out, vote, choose your candidates, choose the individuals you believe that will be best suited to represent the Virgin Islands. And again, I had the pleasure of hosting, and I look forward to seeing you all next time on VI and We. Take care, stay blessed, and of course, stay positive always.